What is going on, gentlemen? Welcome back to the Festus Fantasy Football Forum on the Fantasy Jax Podcast. This is week 3 of the forum this year, and it's been a crazy year already. We finally had our first trade go down. That was a big deal, and unfortunately, one team did not come out on top. I think it's going to come out on the bottom of this, and not on the bottom in a good way. Not in a good way, so... Regardless, we're going to be going over a few things this episode. We actually have a pretty good episode planned for you guys, hoping to get this kind of long. We're going to kind of speed through the matchup recaps. This is a big week of just blowouts, so nothing crazy to talk about there. Power rankings, I have an interview today with one of the other managers in the league. That's going to be for about a 30-minute segment. I'm really excited about that one. And then we're going to finish it off with previews and power rankings as always. I'm going to try and keep it under an hour, 45 minutes though. Let's start off with the matchup recaps. Of course, like I mentioned, a huge week of blowouts. A lot of teams corrected themselves this week, and we saw a lot of floors. 3 teams in the 70s, which is really, really bad. I think the better teams are starting to show. Let's start off with one of the better teams in this league. Off to Grandma, taking down Jaxie Pad 105.8. to 72.34. This is an absolutely abysmal week for Jaxie Pad. His team really did not show up at all. Look at this. He had basically his whole team score under 10 points. That's really unfortunate, and that's really not a good sign considering now you're 1-1. You don't have your second round pick, and although the running backs are a strength of this team, they weren't good enough, I should say, to carry you this week. And that's going to be a theme that I see for a lot of teams, is that the running backs, although are the strong point of the team, are not good enough to carry, or at least have not been good enough to carry teams so far these first couple weeks. But nonetheless, Off to Grandma is a really well-balanced team. You have great wide receivers, you have pretty good running backs, you have an elite quarterback. The flexes in the tight end, I would argue, are pretty weak. However, you don't even have A.J. Brown this week. You had Jason on the bench, Darnell Mooney and Jerry Jeudy on the bench. I think you can maybe play around with that for sure, especially when A.J. Brown comes back. So Off to Grandma, though, 2-0, off to a great start. Next game, Breeze's Backpack taking down the Dogs, and unfortunately, 2-0 to 0-2. Breeze's Backpack really pulling himself away from the competition in terms of strength of teams. Everyone on this Breeze's Backpack team can get you 25 plus, and when they get 25 plus, it's going to be a big showing. Breece Hall, Marvin Harrison, George Kittle, Zay Flowers all had monster games this week. And that's even with Anthony Richardson having a lot of question marks now. So we have to keep an eye on that. But look, the Dogs. Another one of those teams that you have your running backs as your focal points of this team, your first 2 picks. And it's just not getting it done. In terms of you need guys around them to help, and they're just not helping at all. I think Jameson Williams is trying to help. But look at Travis Kelce in the 3rd round, absolutely screwing you over right now. He's getting completely overlooked as the biggest problem on this team because he, again, with his price point, is not performing well at all. I get it, Amari Cooper and Terry McLaurin aren't doing good either, but when you got them, you need to really expect more out of Travis Kelce. So, just a tough week for the Dogs. They win into Breece's Backpack. Breece's Backpack is, like I said, one of the best teams, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any easier for the Dogs in these next few weeks. Let's go to Thank You Damar losing to Can't Chubb Check. Mez going to 2-0. I don't remember the last time he's ever been 2-0. I'm not even trying to be rude about that. Sounds mean, but I'm not trying to be mean. David Montgomery and Joe Mixon, again, decent. Amon-Ra injured, but he looks to be okay. Devontae Adams finally had a great game. That's the Devontae Adams I love. That's the Guardians legend right there. Colby Parkinson, tight end's going to be a problem for Can't Chubb Check this year because even if Jake Ferguson comes back, I don't think he's going to get enough to really elevate this team. So the tight end's going to be a big problem. Flexes as well. I know Kenneth Walker was hurt this week, but even if he's healthy, you're still having a really big question mark at flex, whether that be Tyler Lockett, Gus Edwards, Dobbs, whatever. You have a really big problem at flex. So tight end and flex problems, but you played against Dom this week, who scored 75 points. I thought there was a point where they were not going to score 60, maybe not even 50. It looked awful. Sean Watson's not good. Derrick Henry had a decent game, so did Debo, but now Debo's hurt. Tyreek Hill has no value with Tua out. Conklin sucks. Pickens had that was a tough game. Christian Watson. Look at it. Look at this team. It's just not. It's unlucky for one, but it's just not good. So we're just gonna move on. Let's go to We Are Shit and Bear Down. This is funny and ironic because We Are Shit literally just played Bear Down, and he did not play good. This is a battle of mid. Look, the trade is what the trade is. I think Bear Down made an excellent trade because you have to convince Tony somehow that Jonathan Taylor is not going to outproduce Christian McCaffrey, I guess, or Jordan Mason. I don't know what the conversation was, but it didn't really. I'm disappointed for sure. It wasn't Tony's best deal. Probably Brock's best deal ever, but look, it passed for the formula, and although it was unfair, very unfair, it wasn't too unfair. So, looking at the roster, though, a change needed to be made for both sides. Devontae Smith looks great, but Michael Pittman sucks. Dak, he'll be fine, and Robinson will be fine, but likely he's not your tight end. Rashad White, injured. Keon Coleman sucks. I know you're waiting on T. Higgins, but even if he comes back, who's to say he's not going to be limited? It's just a bunch of question marks, and they showed, and now they're 0-2, and We Are Shit. Look, if you go down 0-3, that's a big problem. And the problem is that you traded your win-now players in Jonathan Taylor, Baker Mayfield, who you sat. You traded these guys, and Devontae Smith, oh my God, you're trading your whole, you traded your whole starting lineup, it feels like. Shit. And Brock, then, good for Brock. I'm just going to move on from this game, though. We are shit, playing like shit. Here we go to the best game this week. The Guardians of Your Mom's House taking down Team DD, 141.8 to 132.7. This was a huge shootout, and off the back of Alvin Kamara, I won't even lie, he completely carried this team this week, and we needed it, right? 132 points would have beat every other team in this league but one other guy. He would have won against anyone else but he played against the Guardians, and it's unfortunate. I didn't think it was going to be this close. Jalen Hurts played pretty well on Monday night, getting almost 24 points. He had about 26 until he threw a pick, and unfortunate, sure, but this team put up a fight. Nico Collins might be wide receiver 5 this year. Who knows? He looks like a great pick. Jefferson, if he's healthy, he'll be fine. Brock Bowers looks like a great pick. I think of all the 0-2 teams, this is the best one, and it's crazy to say that, especially now with Isaiah Pacheco injured. I still think it's the better of all the other 0-2 teams. We are shit. Thank you, Damar. I think this is the Dogs. I think this is the best one. And for the Guardians, again, Alvin Kamara, your Jesus, fantasy Jesus, holy hell. Chris Godwin playing insane as well. Tony Pollard looks like a great pick. James Conner, the running backs, actually, although were thought to be weak points, he has 3 running backs inside the top 12, one of which is RB1. That's insane to see. And I did not expect that. I don't think anyone saw that coming. Chris, I hope you're eating my nuts on that because you said my running backs were not good. But let's move on to the primetime game. Uneventful primetime game. Whenever the schedule makers are making the primetime games, you imagine it's going to be a little more competitive. I would imagine the 08 Lions thought so as well. It just didn't end up that way. And again, 99, 100 points even almost. It's not a bad week. You would have beat a lot of other teams, actually, 4 other teams. It's just, you like that's on a tear. However, Cooper Kupp is injured, and that is not good. That's not good at all because he was supposed to be one of your big guys. A lot of question marks with Adunze and Keenan Allen. I guess you can have Rashid Shaheed go in, but a lot of question marks now that Cooper Kupp's going to be injured for a few weeks now. Other than that, though, the you like that is by far, it's on a heater right now. I don't know the exact averages, but I would imagine they're averaging like 130, 140 right points right now. So the 08 Lions, again, not a terrible team, just a terrible outing. Sam Laporta, what's going on? Colin, I don't know what round you drafted him, 2nd or 3rd, but terrible value. Terrible right now. And again, Aaron Jones, he was supposed to be so great. came back to earth this week and sucked. Jaden Reed, that stack with Jordan Love, it was such a great idea, but then I told you, whenever Jordan Love gets injured, who knows what that stack ends up being. And Malik Willis looked pretty decent, but he just could not connect with Jaden Reed. But Charbonnet and Gibbs looked all right. Tua's injured, but that doesn't really matter. Garrett Wilson, also another question mark. We'll have to monitor. So there is that. I just wanted to go over those a little quickly because I want to get through everything else today. So I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to get into the matchup previews. I know we're going to do things a little bit out of order. I'm going to do the matchup previews this week, and let's get straight in that. All right, so getting into the previews now. Week 3 is a huge week for a lot of teams, and it's because going down 0-2, although it's an awful feeling, it's not the end of the world. You can still bounce back. If you go down 0-3, I don't know the stats, but I would like to assume if you go down 0-3, your chances of making the playoffs drastically decrease, because then you have to finish the year out on a 7-4 run at least. Very hard to do, especially in a competitive league. Now, this league might be a little better this year because it's not going to be super competitive. It's what it's looking like. However, though, you still don't want to go down 0-3. So let's get started here with a team that is 0-2 taking on a team that's 1-1. And I want to start with Team Didi taking on JaxyPad. Team Didi, again, a tough loss last week. Not only losing, you lose Isaiah Pacheco. Justin Jefferson also exiting the game with an injury. Going to be a lot of question marks this week. Javonte Williams slides back into the starting lineup. And who knows whatever changes. Here's the crazy part, though. I think JaxyPad's point projection is still lower. Like, it's under 110. JaxyPad's team, guys, it looked awful. I don't understand how this was super overshadowed because, I mean, look at this. Deontay Johnson now, at least in the wide receiver 2 flex position this week. Maybe it's actually better because Andy Dalton's starting. But D-Hop, where has D-Hop been? He's had 2 catches this year. Kincaid hasn't been able to get going. Jerome Ford even is losing snaps. Patrick Mahomes sucks. The only thing that's helping is the rushing yards out of Josh Jacobs and Saquon, and that's not really equating to much. Not equating to much. I'm really concerned, very, very concerned for the JaxyPad team. And this is a must-win week for Team Didi because you're losing Isaiah Pacheco. If you go down 0-3 and the injuries just keep piling up, your season's going to fall apart really quick. I like this team, actually, so I'm going to say that Team Didi is going to walk out of this Week 3 matchup victorious. I'm calling Week 3 for Team Didi. Forgot to mention, last week I went 4-2, bringing my season total to 7-5. If you guys want to keep on doing it with me, go ahead. Also, check the description for the updated trade block. Send me players to add to the trade block. Here we go. The 08 Lions taking on 2-0 Can't Chubb Check. Can't Chubb Check's got some injuries coming into this week, let me tell you. Mixon, Walker, St. Brown, Ferguson, all carrying questionable tags. And although nothing serious, I would like to say that it doesn't look great either, though, in terms of playing this week. It's very possible that all 4 of these guys sit. For the 08 Lions, you really only got Jordan Love as a question mark, and I would just imagine you pick up somebody to stream this week. Maybe, I don't know the quarterbacks off the top of my head, but maybe like a Derek Carr. With the injury concerns for Can't Chubb Check, I mean, it really would not make sense for Mixon to come back and play, especially the week after. That ankle is probably super swollen. Amon-Ra apparently is banged up pretty bad. At least he's a tough guy, but he said it hurt really bad. Ferguson's a knee issue. Walker, it's an oblique issue. God, I mean, I don't know who to pick on this one because you got a team that is better and Can't Chubb Check, but it's just all injuries. And so I think this week I'm actually going to go with my upset pick of the week is going to be the 08 Lions. I think this is the first week that Colin really shows that he can compete with the best. I think he really elevates himself into that upper echelon instead of hanging around that middle part of the league right now. I think this week he actually elevates. So I got Colin winning against Mez. Nothing bad about Mez's team. I think it's just bad luck with all these injuries. Again, even if they all play, I feel like they're all going to be limited, and that's still hard to play. Got Bear Down taking on You Like That. Bear Down, the new squad. Look at this. Baker, Zach Moss, Jonathan Taylor, and Devontae Smith. I mean, that's just it's crazy how big of a difference a trade makes. And again, not trying to dig on Tony, but you literally gave this guy 3 starters, and now you really in reality only got 3 back. If Christian McCaffrey comes back, then maybe it equates, but as of now, he's not coming back till maybe fantasy playoffs. Can you imagine that? So Brock saved his season. Good for him. As a CMC manager, you kind of have to do that, and he did it really well. So congrats to him. But let's get to this matchup. He's taking on the best team in the league. And there are definitely some question marks now with You Like That, no more Cooper Kupp. Actually, when I'm recording this, Bear Down is actually projected to beat You Like That. And so that's pretty eye-opening. Do I think he's going to win against You Like That? No. No, I still got You Like That winning this week. I don't really love the matchups for Bear Down this week. Baker Mayfield against Denver. I don't see it working out too well for Baker. I think it's more of a run game this week. Zach Moss against Washington could be really well, I will admit. But Jonathan Taylor against Chicago, that sucks. Chicago's got a great run defense. Chris Olave could be pretty good. Drake London against Kansas City, that sucks. Trent McDuffie's going to lock him down. Trey McBride against Detroit, we'll see. That's like a 50-50. Could be great, could be terrible. Tank Dell. What happened to Tank Dell, Brock? What happened to Tank Dell last week? Just want to point that out there. Taking on Minnesota. I have no idea how that'll go either. And then Devontae Smith against New Orleans. If Lattimore plays, because there's no A.J. Brown this week either, if Lattimore plays, Smith might be cooked. We'll have to monitor that in the injury reports. I just don't love those matchups, but you look at You Like That, and although Trey McBride has a negative matchup against Detroit, Kyler Murray is actually a positive for Detroit. I mean, they're against the quarterbacks. They can't stop the quarterbacks right now. Travis Etienne against Buffalo. You saw what Achane did. J.K. Dobbins against Pittsburgh. That might be a wash. But CeeDee Lamb against Baltimore. Baltimore cannot stop wide receivers right now. I don't know what's going on. Pitts against KC. I think that actually might work out really well. You saw what the white boys in Cincinnati did. And now you get Kyle Pitts out there. I think it'd be really well done. Achane against Seattle. I really don't know. Actually, I don't even remember the last time Seattle played Miami, so I have no idea how that'll go. But then Calvin Ridley against Green Bay. I definitely like You Like That matchups way more, especially because I think the firepower for You Like That is still substantially above Bear Down's. But Bear Down definitely saved his season. I'm still going to take You Like That. I like Judson's team. I think this one will actually be closer than people think. I think it's going to come down to Sunday night, because I think that's the last game, which is KC and Atlanta. No, I'm sorry, Washington, so Zach Moss. So I guess it'll come down to Monday night, but I think it'll really come down to Sunday night because Pitts and Drake London. I'm really interested in this game. This is not the primetime game, but this is like the Thursday night game, if you ask me. Let's go to the random 3 o'clock game that no one wants to watch, and that is the We Are Shit team taking on Thank You Tomorrow. You know what? His new projection total is actually pretty inspiring. Almost 115 as I'm recording this. Rashad White and T. Higgins both questionable. I don't think T. Higgins plays, to be honest. But, you know, you got Alexander Matt. I mean, it just sucks. It just sucks, Tony. It just sucks that you did that. I'm really upset that you did that. Thank You Tomorrow. Everyone's healthy except Debo's out, which that came out of nowhere. Crazy that. But I actually really like Wan'Dale Robinson, so I think you slide him in there. Look, Thank You Tomorrow has a terrible team. This is the bottom 2 teams squaring off. I don't know who to take, because I don't like either of these teams. Obviously, I hate the Mars team, but We Are Shit is, look at this lineup now, especially post-trade. I don't want to say it's worse, but it is worse. It just is. In terms of, and if Rashad White doesn't play, oh my God, I know T. Higgins is not going to play. If he does, he's going to be very limited. It's hard to predict this on Tuesday, so I'm just going to say Dom's going to win this game. I'm sorry. Again, this could go either way. This is the 12 o'clock game that no one wants to watch. It's the toilet bowl. It really is. Yeah, maybe you get a great game out of it. Who knows? Next up, let's go to Sunday Night Football, or Monday Night Football, whichever. We'll call it Monday Night Football. And it's the Guardians of your mom's house. 1-1, strong win last week, taking on the Dogs at 0-2. This is a must-win game for the Dogs. I can't stress it enough. Going down 0-3 in a division where you got someone 2-0 and off to a great start, like off to Grandma, you cannot fall down 0-3. You can't do it. I think the Dogs this week have bounce back ability to come out on top this week. I mean, look, they busted last week. They had a bad week the first week as well. I think the Dogs are due for a huge boom game. Is it this week? Especially against the Guardians, who are projected the most out of any team this week, which is a very strong sign. Alvin Kamara's is on a different fucking planet right now. There's just some guys on the Dogs that are not anywhere to be seen. Travis Kelce's MIA. Amari Cooper's MIA. Terry McLaurin is MIA. Robinson and Cook can only do so much. Josh Allen has to put up 25 points, I think, for the Dogs to be competitive. But if he puts up 25 points, what are the chances that James Cook puts up 25 points? I'd argue it's very low. Last week, when you saw James Cook explode, Josh Allen couldn't do nothing. There's going to be weeks where we see Josh Allen explode and James Cook's not going to do nothing. I think although you're getting the rushing abilities on the Bills, you're really kind of backing yourself into a corner where they both really can't have good games for you. It's going to be one or the other. I think that's something that you have to address, whether you get rid of Josh Allen or get rid of James Cook in the future, especially if you go down 0-3. Wide receivers, again, it's a big question mark. But underratedly, again, Travis Kelce's MIA, and he is costing this team a lot based on where he was drafted. Looking at the Guardians, here's an underrated strategic part here, is the Dogs have Terry McLaurin, so this game goes down to Monday night. The Guardians have Jayden Daniels. If there was a scenario where maybe the Guardians have a lead, he can very much protect that lead with playing Jayden Daniels in case of any touchdowns by Terry McLaurin. You only get a 2-point advantage instead of a 6+, right? Because Jayden Daniels would get 4 of that. So that's something to keep in mind and monitor. That's a strategy that goes into fantasy football this week. It's a very unique situation. But right now, Joe Burrow is in the starting lineup in case, it just doesn't need to go down to that. But I am prepared to make that move. I promise you, I need to win this week. I need to get to 2-1. Kamara looks great. James Conner looks great. Godwin looks great. Even though he's going against Denver, that sucks. But Jamar Chase against Washington, this is his coming out party. And not that coming out party. The coming out party that gives me a lot of fantasy points. The one that I'm really going to enjoy. I'm really excited about that. Jaylen Waddle, his value has tanked, but Tony Pollard, hopefully he gets going. Tyjae Spears out with an ankle injury, or projected to be out, so he's going to get a full workload. I'm really excited about my team. I'm going to pick the Guardians this week. Primetime game of the week. Both teams at 2-0. I got off to Grandma, taking on Breece's backpack, and I wanted them to be in the primetime game this week, I should say, because one of these teams will not be undefeated after this week, and you love that type of pressure. Here's something interesting. Off to Grandma is not projected a lot of points at the time I'm recording this. I'd imagine it's because there's some injury concerns, but only a 113 projection is very low, I think. It's very concerning. Again, A.J. Brown not in the lineup. He will not play this week. I don't think he will. So it's looking like a pretty good setup here for Breece's backpack. He could go 2-0 in the primetime games as well to start the year off. But you got Anthony Richardson going against Chicago. I don't like that. You got Breece Hall against New England on Thursday night. I don't like that. You got Devin Singletary against Cleveland. I don't like that. Marvin Harrison against Detroit. I do like, so maybe he counteracts and picks up the slack for one of those 3 matchups that suck. Mike Evans against Denver. I don't like that. George Kittle against the Rams. I do like that a lot. George Kittle loves playing the Rams. Zay Flowers against Dallas should be pretty good. And Xavier Worthy finishing off Brees' backpacks lineup in Atlanta, Xavier Worthy is going to get a huge increase in workload, at least projected. And now that Pacheco's hurt, they're going to probably be using him more in the running game, whether it be through screens, jet motions, shovel passes, whatever. They're going to get this guy the ball a lot more. So Xavier Worthy looks like he's in a really good spot. But here's the thing, though. The Brees' backpack team, they just have so many bad matchups. And when you look at off to Grandma, again, that low projection is scary. CJ Stroud has a decent matchup. Kyron's matchup looks pretty decent against San Francisco. They're just going to run the ball, and they're going to get him in short yardage situations. Stevenson against the Jets. For some reason, the Jets really can't stop the run right now. I don't know why, but Ramondre looks good. DJ Moore against Indianapolis. 50-50. Malik Neighbors against Cleveland. Again, another probably not going to end up well, but I think Goddard, I hate Goddard this year, but Zeke and then Gabe Davis in the flexes, yeah, it just doesn't. Although Brees' backpack has worse matchups, off to Grandma just has way less firepower. I'm taking Brees' backpack to win again in prime time this week. Let's get to the next segment, which is the interview with Chris Lammert. Yes, the manager of JaxPad. All right, gentlemen, as mentioned, here we have our first ever interview on the Fantasy Jax Podcast for the Festus Fantasy Football Forum. With me, I have the manager of JaxPad. Chris, say hello.
Hello.
I'm just going to be asking you some questions, and we're just going to have a conversation about the league and about fantasy. There was actually another trade today. Haven't been able to go through that, but we can get into it.
So lopsided. Oh, my God.
Well, I have to do the numbers. You think it's really that lopsided? I haven't really had that much time to actually look at it.
Bro, yes. It is. I really do believe so. That's a Chris trade if I've ever seen one, but,
Whose side, though? Who wins that trade?
Tony wins that trade. Tony clears. Tony cleared that trade.
I thought it looked pretty even, really. Because if CMC does not go back, which he might not, then you just lost another running back. And Dom will be able to get running back now, which he needed. He really needed. And he gets Rashee Rice. So
yeah, but Tyreek Hill, though, for Jordan Mason and Rashee Rice, those are good players, but it's Tyreek Hill along with Debo, with Austin. I know Austin's washed, but Debo Samuel.
He is hurt. So
okay.
A few weeks. And then Tyreek's, his value is basically hurt because there's no Tua. So
he's QB proof. You don't think Tyreek's QB proof?
Previous stats with Skylar Thompson would suggest he is not. And trust me, I have Jaylen Waddle, so I would like him to be good, but I have my doubts. I don't know. I'll run it. I think it will pass just from looking at their position averages and stuff, but I'll get into that and I'll text. You guys will know by the time you see this. However, Chris, this is your interview. What are your thoughts on your team so far this season?
The injury bug has already hit us a little bit with Puka going down. That hurts, but you can't give a loss to one player going down. There's a problem fundamentally with the team. We got to figure it out. Luckily, it's only week 2. But I think we come together, we make a trade maybe, or, we look at the waiver wire and we get after it. We can really turn it around. I still think there's a solid base here. Definitely potential.
What is the base, and what is the fundamental problem that you just alluded to?
Puka was my PPR guy. Puka was supposed to be my 15, 20 points a game weekly. That's what the back-to-back pick was supposed to do for me with Barkley and Puka just being PPR monsters, and Puka being down for who knows how long, and who knows if he comes back fully healthy. And, we just don't know what's going to go on with that, so we got to find something to replace that.
I see. We'll circle back to that trading point that you made. I know you're in a lot of people's DMs trying to get players, but like I said, we'll circle back.
I'm in there.
Well, yeah, I get it. Who has the best team right now?
Judson clears.
Even with the Cooper Kupp injury, you're still saying it?
100%.
Backpack over the Guardians, the 3 highest scoring teams in the league.
Hey, Judson team clears.
I think so. I think so. He's, we're gonna see.
He got a lot of diamonds there that nobody even thought of before the draft.
JK, he took the risks, and
oh yeah,
the risks you get rewarded. Now the Cooper Cup thing definitely is gonna hurt. It would be this team would be unstoppable if you said.
This team has the depth to be able to deal with Cooper Cup being down for sure.
Exactly. And that's the underrated part of his team is the depth. So I agree. I think it is the best team right now. Watch the power rankings in this next segment if you want to know for sure. But even though you're saying that Judson is the best team right now, who do you think will win the championship? It's only been 2 weeks. Who is your early season prediction? Not yourself, obviously. You're going to say yourself, but besides you.
Man, it's really hard to pick that out week 2, but gotta go Judd. I mean, you have to, just based off the team. I mean, can't hate the guy. He's got a great squad over there.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm going to have a segment or something in a couple weeks doing those early.
I mean, like, to counter that, like, I remember the year I won, Tyler was 11-4. His team was incredible. So it's really just about who gets hot at the right time.
Ironically, that was the same year. That was the Cooper Cup year.
No, yeah, that was the Cooper Cup year. I went 7-7.
And I was talking to Tyler, and he brought up a good point. Sometimes we have to remember that the best team does not always win. I had the best team 2 years ago and then lost to Dom. So, you got to get there first. Being the best team helps with that, but there are some. I wouldn't be super confident about Judd yet. Not super.
No, but he's got a lot of room to talk shit for sure.
100%. I know I was. Whenever I was in that position, like I said, 2 years ago. I guess.
Oh, no doubt. I remember when I went back to back, hellas ago. I was on cloud 9.
What was your second year when you won? When you beat Brock? Do you remember your team much then?
I think that was the Jamar Chase year, if I'm not mistaken.
So did it go Brock and then Tyler, or did it go Tyler then Brock?
I think it went Tyler then Brock.
Yeah. So you had the Jamar Chase. Was your team pretty stacked back then? I don't remember.
No, it was not. I just got super hot at the right time.
Yeah. It didn't happen last year for anybody. I guess.
No, super even for everybody.
But yes, this year I think it's going to be dominant teams throughout the year. Judson, J. Gill. And then you're going to have a couple teams that really turn it on at the end of the year. It could be Khan, it could be Brock, it could be whoever. And I think it's going to be like that this year. It was not like that last year. It was, like I said, more, like you said, more spread out, more competitive. But, I mean, do you agree with that?
No, definitely. We never really had a year like last year. I feel like there's always been clear-cut good teams.
Yep. 100% agree. Here's a good question that I really wanted to ask. Looking at all the teams right now, and now we're getting more of a picture of where teams are. What is a deal that needs to be made for a manager? We just saw Brock needing to trade CMC. In my opinion, he needed to. He made the deal. Who or what player needs to be on the move for a manager?
I don't know. I can't lie. I think Austin has a lot of potential to really do something with his team. I mean, I was in his DMs not 30 minutes ago trying to get Pacheco.
Really?
But, yeah. I mean, if he can make a move there and actually get a good RB, I think his team is good. Because he's got Nico, Ayuk could pick it up probably, and JJ. So, like, he's got good wide receivers. If he can get a running back, maybe trade Jay Jetta. I know you don't want to, but you could get a lot of return for that.
I agree.
Really round out the team, especially him having a top 3 quarterback. Austin could turn it around if he makes the right trade.
Right, and that's the emphasis is the right trade, because we saw a couple managers last year make a trade, trading their big players, trying to round out their team, and they made the absolute completely wrong trade. I remember Tony last year trading me Saquon and Terry McLaurin for I think 3 or 4 players trying to. And then you remember, and then I end up absolutely riding off into the sunset with that one. I brought up the which this just happened in the segment that I recorded, but I brought up Tyler's team. I said that he needs to get rid of either Josh Allen or James Cook, because I believe that with having the Josh Allen rushing ability and the James Cook rushing ability, I get it, you get rushing off Buffalo, but you don't get big games from both of them. It's going to be one or the other. And that might not seem like a huge deal until James Cook and Josh Allen have a bad game, or like these first 2 weeks where it's only been one or the other, you keep losing because you have no wide receiver help. So now you're cutting yourself even more thin. So I think Tyler needs to make a move away from Josh Allen and James Cook.
I mean, that's just the problem with stacks. Like, it's either going to carry your team or be the downfall of your team.
Exactly.
But I think Tyler's biggest problem was taking Kelsey in the third round.
That is also,
in my opinion,
the biggest. That is the most under the radar problem. And tight ends as a whole stuck right now. You have Kincaid, I have Andrews. They're both not performing. But when you took a guy in the third round,
I think tight end is like the only position that's so comparable. You could get the top 20 guys, and they could all be very similar in weekly production. I think tight end is the only position like that. So to go so early with the tight end, granted it's Kelsey, but he's 34 and he's coming off his worst season ever.
Yeah,
I just don't see that as a third round selection.
Well, and look at Laporta over on Collins' team, the 08 Lions. He's going through a lot right now because he drafted Laporta before Kelsey.
No, yeah.
So now you're getting that problem too. So the value on and look, I paid a fifth rounder for Mark Andrews. I get it. I'm in that same boat. You paid, was that fourth or fifth for Kincaid?
I got Kincaid in the sixth.
Okay, so that's a little bit better.
But still, I get what you're saying.
So I'd like to see that. I think it was CMC needed to be traded from Brock. Thankfully, he made that deal.
I can't believe somebody bought that.
I can't. Don't say somebody. Tony, I can't believe you bought that. And
that's so wild.
Now it doesn't even have Mason's. Crazy world. I'm glad that Dom made a move, because the 0-2 teams, I think, do all need to make a move. And you have to because if you go down 0-3, you're screwed.
They got to get a win this week. If you're 0-2, you have to win this week.
I agree. I don't know the stats, but I guarantee if I went back and I calculated everyone who started 0-3, I bet it would be 0 to 1.5% of players actually end up making the playoffs. And I guarantee you, if the ones that do, because they made a unbelievable trade. And you just got to get rid of your top guys. And that's, I think, for Ty, you got to get rid of Josh Allen or James Cook. Dom did it. Brock did it. I think, like you said, Austin's got to do it. So we'll see. Who are some of the players that you've been targeting in the DMs? Like, to fill out your team, who have you been really kind of trying to go after?
Well, I'm in your DMs right now for Jamar.
Yeah.
We'll see how that pans out.
We'll see.
I tried getting Pacheco from Austin. He doesn't really know ball, so he thinks it's a bad trade. Earlier I tried getting this was kind of a fleece. I talked about it earlier in the chat. I was gonna send Barkley and Lazard and D-Hop for Taylor and Devontae Smith.
That would not have, I don't think
I
that would
can't even get it out without laughing. I can't even. But yeah, those are the guys. I mean, I can't lie. I'm trying to go for the teams that are 0-2. Nobody's gonna trade if they're winning. You got to go for the losing teams.
Well,
I haven't talked to Ty yet. Maybe we'll get something done, but a lot of opportunity.
Chris, I mean, you are 1-1. Your team is in the gutter, with all due respect, right now because of injury.
Definitely.
Are you not afraid to make a costly deal? Like, you'd have to pay for these top guys. What is your strategy with your roster trying to make a trade right now?
Well, I already have a very negative stigma when it comes to trades. Anybody that thinks Chris is making a trade with me, he's got to be fucking me. You know what I mean? I just have that about me. So
I think I'm starting to get that stigma as well.
I have to overcompensate by overpaying. So I'll overpay for the right trade if I think it'll pan out for me in the end. Like, I'll trade anybody on my team, as you know from last year. Would I make 10 trades?
Through week 4, but
yeah, it was ridiculous. And then I was a game away from the playoffs, so I mean, it almost worked out for me.
You weren't even a game away. You were just points 4 away. You know, because you went 7-7 last year. Pretty sure.
So I was really close last year for that panning out. You know. But we'll see. We'll see what works out for me. I'll get something going.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Woj bomb. Whenever you get a trade, it's like that's the one that starts it all. And if it's like last year, you'll keep going. But I'm excited to see how that turns out. What do you think the 6 playoff teams are this year?
6 playoff teams right now.
If you know, fast forward to week 14, who's in the playoffs?
You know, I don't even think it's possible. I want to say every single team in my division.
It is possible. Technically, it is. I don't know how the records would work out, but I think it is possible. So who's all in?
I got Judd,
yeah.
Best team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Jaden, he's got a great team. I'd say it's at least top 3.
Yeah.
Mez, he's 2-0.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Hey, what a turn. And look at AJ's 2-0.
No, yeah, AJ's, I think that's a false 2-0. I'm not even going to lie.
AJ,
no hate. I think that's a false 2-0.
Oh, wow.
Like, he fucked me up week 2. I can't even lie. But I put up 70 points, and he barely put up 100. So
he didn't have AJ Brown, though, so.
Fair point. But if he would have played, like, 5 different other teams, he would have lost that week. So I think that's a fraudulent 2-0, personally. No hate to Allen. Great guy.
I like the hot
Great program.
This is great. This is like the first take, show. So you can say whatever you want. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Especially because Allen's in primetime this week against Jay Gill. So maybe add a little bulletin board material.
I think you'll probably be in the playoffs for sure.
So Judd, Jay Gill, you said Mez, me, that's 4. Where's the other 2? You?
I think those last 2 spots are up for grabs. I think anybody could grab them. Between me, Colin, Brock, Tyler, I think those are the guys that could fight for those last 2.
Yeah. If you had to give a dark horse contender, dark horse candidate to win, either make the playoffs if you want to go that far or go all the way to the championship, who would it be?
Probably, honestly, Austin. If he makes the right trade, if he makes the right fucking trade, bro, he could be the best team in the league.
I know. I saw it, and I was looking at his team.
It's actually really good on paper. Like, it's really there.
The PPR value, besides Zamir White, is 100% there. Zamir White problem for his team, but Jaylen Warren in the flex is a sneaky great flex. He will get going, like you mentioned earlier. He's got, again, he was going to be my dark horse player to make it. But, again, he's got to make the right trade.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's got Nico, number 2 wide receiver overall. Jefferson, number 6. Ayuk, I think he'll finish his top 20.
I think he will. Debo coming out.
And Bowers is going to be a top 3 tight end. I mean, shit. He gets a running back off a Jefferson trade and maybe another low-key wide receiver, like a wide receiver 2. That's a playoff team.
He has to get the right running back. I would say if he went and got with his team, if he went to Mez and maybe got Kenneth Walker and then a wide receiver replacement, like a flex tier, and then they get elevated, then yes, I think Austin is a clear-cut top 3 contender. But he can't go out and get a Rashad White for Jefferson.
No.
There's not enough volume there, even though Rashad White's name is big. You can't even go get a Kyron.
No. Yeah, you got to have some pass-catching value there.
I want to build a trade right now for Austin.
I'd give him Jacobs and Diggs for Jefferson.
Woo.
That's not bad. That's fair.
I think if you're Austin, you have to take that deal. That's a great deal. He has Nico, so you can't do Diggs. Who's your other wide receiver?
Oh yeah, fair. I mean Puka. I would do Puka and Jacobs, but I mean,
I'm Austin. I'm taking that deal. I'm taking Puka and Jacobs for Jefferson because I can wait on Puka, and you can get Jefferson.
I need a big play guy. I don't have him right now.
You lose Jacobs, but I mean Jefferson. I think is going to be a top 5 receiver. That's why I would have drafted him 2nd overall had J.J. McCarthy still been in. But that's awesome. That was fun. I enjoyed making that little trade. There's a lot of guys in the league that you can do that for. Obviously, we're not going to be their own managers, but there are, I think, a lot of moves that people need to make. Honestly, for me, I don't really know what I need to do right now. I got a lot of great value from the draft, and so I'm kind of just fielding calls right now. Not really like my 1-1 record I'm pulling with. I know
Your team's in a great position right now. I would just sit back and wait.
I agree. Judson's team is in a great position. Jay Gill's team. I think you could argue AJ could make a deal with somebody just to kind of maybe round things out a little more with the AJ Brown injury. But yeah, I really like where a lot of teams are. And then if you're 0-2, I think a move needs to be made for sure.
No, for sure. You can't go to 0-3.
Who was your early prediction for last place?
Gotta be Dom. This team is dog shit. I can't.
Better today, though. It got better today. I think it got better today. I think it did.
All right. Let me wait. What did I don't know. Maybe Tony, because I don't know if CFC's coming back.
I think if you had to ask me, I think it's Tony. That's my pick, because I just don't think he can wait for McCaffrey.
No, yeah, and he's starting Austin Eckler and T. Higgins confidently in the flex.
Which, yeah, that's... And
I don't really have a lot of room to talk shit. My flexes are dog shit too, but I'm just saying.
Well, T. Higgins isn't even healthy yet, so who is behind T. Higgins? Because I don't think he's going to play on Monday. I think next week he comes back. I don't think he comes back this week.
Who is behind him? It's that, I think somebody picked him up. Oh, no, I can't even say his name. I don't even know him. That's the dude behind T.
Jeez.
Andre something?
Yoshivas?
Yeah.
He has Yoshivas. I didn't even know that. I did not even know
That's not on his roster. That's just the dude in the depth chart.
No, I'm talking about Tony's roster, who's behind T. Higgins.
Oh, shit. Let me look at that.
Fill in that flex role. Because like I said, I don't think T. Higgins is playing.
He's got Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, that's cooked.
Madison, maybe?
Okay. Yeah, he got that in the CMC deal. I would say,
Not terrible. Madison's playing Carolina this week. That's not bad.
Well, he's averaging 11 points a game, which is impressive for a literal RB2.
Yeah, he would definitely be starting over Higgins for me.
You think so?
100%. Higgins is... I don't know. I think Higgins is overrated as fuck.
Even if Higgins plays this week, are you still starting Madison just as precaution?
Definitely.
Because if you wait...
He's got the matchup. I mean, Carolina's been dog shit the past 2 weeks.
I agree. And plus, with a hamstring injury, they're probably going to limit T. Higgins. So,
and you got the volume there. Madison's probably going to touch the ball 15 times.
I would say at least 10, 12 for sure. And that's through the pass and the run. So, yeah. Do you have any messages for any of the managers specifically? Is there anything on your mind that you've been kind of wanting to get out?
Well, it'll always be fuck you, Brock. It has to be that. I don't really have a lot of hate for anybody else. It's mainly just Brock. Fuck that guy.
When do you guys play?
Week 6. I'm ready.
You're already scouting that. That's 3 weeks.
No, yeah. Hopefully we get to at least 3-2 by that time. Really hoping for 3-2 by week 6.
If you lose this week, are the panic alarms going off?
100%. Austin's team is good, but he's dealing with a lot of injuries, so I should be able to steal this week.
Okay. I like that. I think that's a fair assumption. All right. That's all I got. I think this went pretty well.
Definitely.
If anyone's watching and you guys want to do an interview just like this, let me know, and then maybe we can even get like a big, like a kind of a debate circle one day with me, you, and some other people. So I think
that'd be lit.
Awesome. All right, Chris, you take care, bub.
Appreciate you having me.
Yep, absolutely. Good luck this week. All right, we are back. Had to take a little intermission, different shade or different set of clothes, but back nonetheless. And we are going to be finishing off this episode with the power rankings. And again, I don't want to dive in too deep into them because as we know, it's still super volatile right now. But I will say, week 3, we are really starting to get to understand these teams and kind of better where they're falling into. So maybe 1 through 12 isn't a great way to rank them yet. It's more so groupings. As we get going, we're going to keep figuring out these teams more and more. And with trades really shake up power rankings. So we're going to see that in today's video. So at number 12, I have Thank You to More. And I can't put him any higher because, quite frankly, his team is just, I don't trust anyone on his team. Even with Tyreek Hill now out, not out, but Tua's out, so Tyreek's basically out. It's going to be tough to trust him. It's going to be tough to trust anyone on this team. Even Derrick Henry, the Baltimore offense looks terrible. No quarterback, tight end got hurt. It's just, some teams are down in the gutter, and this is, I think, the gutteriest gutter. At number 11, we have We Are Shit. Mr. Marmani's team, thank you for your service, sir, but you did your team a disservice by making that trade. And again, you basically traded 4 players for 3, which that sucks because you're taking on all the risk with McCaffrey being out, and I don't think you had to do that. But maybe somehow the way you win this trade is if Taylor and everyone gets hurt. It's definitely possible, especially with how many injuries we've had this year already. Definitely possible. That's the only way I think you win this trade and not get last place. Respectfully, of course. At number 10, I have JaxPad. Controversial, maybe a hot take. But whenever I look at a team that clearly has no future, maybe that's harsh, but the future looks bleak, that's for sure. I think of JaxPad because look at, although the running backs are producing good rushing yards, if you don't have a touchdown, you're not going to really do well in these offenses. You guys, Saquon and Josh Jacobs aren't catching passes, right? They're not Kamara or Rashad White in that sense. Now, if they rush for 130 yards and a touchdown, yes, they're fantastic. But that much volume, A, will lead to injury eventually, and 2, not produce fantasy points unless, like I said, you score touchdowns. Pat Mahomes looks like shit. Like I said, Puka's out, and you don't have any other good flexes or, Stephon Diggs, but there's a lot of question marks around that. I just can't trust this team, and I have to put them down here because the power rankings is about outlook. This outlook is probably the worst out of anyone in terms of teams not 0-2. At number 9, I have the Dogs. The Dogs. Microphone's right here as always. Again, another JaxPad instance. He is 0-2, but he has not had any significant injuries yet, so that's why he's above Chris. But the outlook is just the same. It's very bad in terms of your drafted guys are not producing, and the only way it seems that they can produce, besides Cook and Bijan, hell, even Cook maybe, is if they get touchdowns. Cooper does not have PPR relevance right now. Terry McLaurin does not. Travis Kelce does not. That's insane. Brian Thomas as well, who I think is going to be good, but it's all touchdown dependent. And if you need your team to get 6, 7, 8 touchdowns a week to win a game, it's going to be it's going to be a long season, and it's going to be hard to win. You need the PPR values. That's what the better teams have. They have the PPR guys, running back and receivers. And number 8, although an 0-2 team, like the GOAT squad, I have Team DD. And I really like this team, but Pacheco did get hurt. And that's going to be a big problem. But, you guys saw it. He can put up points. And I think with Jalen Hurts' rushing upside, Jalen Warren's PPR value in his rotation, Brock Bowers looks like an absolute stud. Jefferson as well, Ayuk if he can get going. There's a lot of guys on this team that can really score. It's just going to be so much harder to win without Pacheco now. It is. Okay, you have Javonte Williams as your backup. That's not going to cut it. So I think a trade's actually in the works for this guy, at least in the cards. We will have to, if I'm that manager, I have to make a trade. You have to make a move for a running back. Like I said, not going to probably go up again over this number again. I think I kind of know where Team DD is, unless something drastic changes and I'm just completely wrong about some of these players. But I do think that is decent. I think it's just a lower mid level team. Definitely not towards the bottom though. So at number 7, I have the 08 Lions, and I do like this team. I have been supportive of it in recent weeks. However, I'm taking a step back again this week because injuries now are kind of piling up. I think Colin said it himself in the chat, and I agree. You're not the top, you're not the bottom. I think you're right in the middle, and one thing can go your way, and you're in the playoffs. One bad thing can go your way, and you're in the consolation bracket fighting not to get last place. It's going to be that type of season for the 08 Lions, I believe. And although I do like some of the players on this team, injuries, I think it's just injuries. And you got to get Laporta going. All tight ends suck this year. But where you drafted Laporta, it's hurting you so much. So you really need him to step up. You need Jameer to keep kind of being your bell cow. Honestly, like I said, you just need to stay healthy. So Jordan Love, come back. Fix the stack with Jaden Reed, because that's another underlying issue if he's out for extended time. At number 6, shooting up the rankings. I was not expecting this, but I got bear down. I got Brock's team because of the trade. Just being honest with you guys, he is no longer held down by Christian McCaffrey. Really proud of him about that for making a trade. He absolutely fleeced him. And you know what? I think we would have argued a lot about it last year. But again, we got to let managers make bad trades, okay? You have to be a better fantasy football manager in this league. Brock took advantage of Tony, who maybe just was having an off night, I'd like to think. And he got a huge return. Now again, if any of your guys that you got in return get injured, you just lost Christian McCaffrey for basically nothing. That is a big risk. That is not going totally noticed. But whenever you have Christian McCaffrey number 1 overall and the Niners clearly are not telling us injury concerns and you still draft him, that's just unlucky. So I kind of have to feel for him there. It's just unlucky that you were not informed. No one was informed. So I guess you are making the best out of a really bad situation, and you got an unbelievable haul. I don't know how you got the players that you did. Very much, hats off to you. I think the future is definitely looking a lot better. This was a bottom 3 team had this trade not happened. So, bear down on number 6. At number 5, I have bigger than black and white. Really happy with this manager here, AJ. We got a lot of managers 2-0 that very proud of. A complete 180 script change. AJ is one of them, and unfortunately, he lost the other AJ Brown, to injury, and that's really going to hurt this team. That's why I've kind of knocked him down a little bit in terms of outlook, because whenever you lose your top guy in AJ Brown, who is, he's one of the best. I think he's top 10 for sure. It's going to be hard for your team to kind of bounce back, especially being at that end part of the drafts, where you need more so of a unified team, not so much a top-heavy team. Losing AJ Brown like that for a few weeks is going to be a big hurdle, and you're already seeing it in the projections. He is in primetime against Jay Gill. 2-0 against 2-0. We'll see how he manages that. I just don't see how, unless A.J. Brown comes back, he has some depth issues at flex too. Who knows where this team ends up at the end of the year. This is, I think of all the teams, especially 2-0, this one has some big question marks. So it's like a cliffhanger. AJ's team every week is a cliffhanger. What are they going to do? How is his team going to finish the season? I have no idea. I don't think that made any sense. So I'm just going to move on to number 4. I have the Guardians of Your Mom's House coming in at number 4, moving back up the power rankings. I think it's fair. This team has firepower. Okay, you have the wide receiver 1 on your team. You have the running back 1 on your team. You have the running back 8 and the running back 11 on your team. And none of those guys are Jamar Chase. That's insane. Okay, just being honest, I got really lucky with some of the value picks in Kamara and Godwin for sure. James Conner too. And my team's healthy. I think health right now, looking around the league, is a very underrated ability. And this is, I think, the healthiest team besides maybe Breece's backpack, who we'll see in a little bit. But this is the healthiest team. There's no injuries. So whenever you count no injuries plus clear firepower, I know everyone wanted to say, including me, I had some concerns about the running back room too, but whenever you now see, you cannot deny it. It's a matter of staying healthy now and continuing to click at the right times. The team is still not clicking all cohesively right now. Mark Andrews has had problems. Jamar Chase has had problems. The quarterback between Daniels and Burrow has had problems. And although Pollard now is, I think, solidified in the flex, who knows where Waddle ends up. So there's still, we got to play smart. But I think number 4 is a good spot for the Guardians. At number 3, I have Can't Chubb check. Although the injuries are starting to pile up, they're not too big of injuries. Kind of just day-to-day, week-to-week injuries. So nothing to hit the panic button on. And I really like Mez's team. I think the running backs, kind of like the Guardians, are underrated, but they play really well. Wide receivers, again, although off to a slower start, they are very powerful in their own right. Amon-Ra is a unit. The only problem I have, or not the only problem, but the main problem, is the tight end. I think that's going to be a problem all year. Although the tight end's stuck right now, it's going to come back in some way. I think just because there's a lack of star power at the tight end position with Ferguson and whoever he ends up streaming on a weekly basis until he's back to play. Unless a trade happens, that's just going to be a big issue that you kind of have to equate to just, hey, I know my tight end's either going to get somehow 15 points or he's going to get 2. It's very unlikely he gets an average of 10 points a week from his tight end. That's the only issue. I think it's a top 3 team, 2-0 for a reason. So, good job, Mez. Very proud of that manager. Another manager I'm really proud of for another straight year being just a really great team out of the draft. Breeze's backpack, not Lamar's backpack. Breeze's backpack. And, so many years being one of the bottom teams, I think Jay Gill has finally found a draft strategy, and that's just being blackout drunk, and somehow it works out for you. Now, this past weekend, although you could argue, had a bad week from a lot of his players, his team still performed fantastically. My thing was how he put up over 130 points, and Anthony Richardson was not in that equation at all. I mean, that's scary. To have a mobile quarterback who is a boomer bust guy for sure, but you score 130 points and you don't even need your quarterback. Again, wow, very, very impressive. Again, Breeze's backpack out of the draft. I think this team is going to be fighting for the first place seed with, spoiler, you like that. We all knew it was hat, but anyways, I think you can flip-flop it, right? We'll have to see Judson's team this week without Cooper Kupp, and then we can circle back next week at the power rankings, and maybe we see a change. Whether, Judson wins or not, I think Breeze's backpack is a very strong team. I think you can ask Ty, he agrees. You can ask me, I would tell you the same. This team's going to score a lot of points. It's going to be very hard to beat him. So, Breeze's backpack number 2. As I mentioned, you like that's number 1. Again, Cooper Kupp going down. I mean, this was the bona fide number 1. Cooper Kupp going down now opens up a conversation. And we will have this conversation this weekend when we see how he performs without that PPR value. And remember, he was going to get all of the receiving work in LA. And that was a huge game changer for you like that. And now you lose that for, I would say, 4 to 6 weeks as he's going on IR. I don't trust it. And even if he comes back, that thing's going to linger. Who's to say this team is healthy going into the playoffs? Questions are starting to come up. Speaking of who, you're fucking texting in the group chat, buddy. Weird how the world works. With that said, though, I want to thank you guys for watching, listening. Hope you enjoyed the interview today. I would like to get us having more interviews in the future, just talking about fantasy football, talking about regular football. We don't have to talk about your team specifically, but we can I like to have those conversations, and it's fun. I think it went pretty well. So text me if you would like to hop on. Please keep sending videos in every week, just so we can keep this inclusive with everyone in the league. And send me your trade block players, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. If you need to check on the trade block, it's in the description of the most recent video, updated every single day. Something gets added. So if you want to check every day, you could check every day. With that said, thank you guys again. Good luck to everyone in week 3, except the dogs. I need to win this week. But everyone else, hey, good luck on your matchups.